am I don't know. Slobby Robby, Slob Rob with no job. You know what I mean? Better known to the real IRS as Robert Hall. So, Slobby Robby as a moniker, I guess, so to speak. They always say you can't give your own nicknames. You don't self-gloss, right? So, I didn't come up with it, at all. And my name on MySpace was Slobbert, right? Just because, like, what am I going to be, Robert? I'm like, hey, it's me, Robert from high school. And so someone posted a Slobby Robby, and it's a super, very, very, very obese person. And I'm like, cool, bro, fuck you too, dog. Like, but also cool, it rhymes and it's cool, right? And so I changed my MySpace name to Slobby Robby. I had a blast. My upbringing was super fun. That's the best way to put it. Very much indicative of the '80s. Very fun and bright and expressionistic and very full of things like roller skating, skateboarding, bike riding, mischief, TPing people's houses, egging people's houses, stealing hood ornaments and whatnot. Things that kids do. Besides being a fat kid, I had a lot of things going for me. So, just being a little bit slower, the last one to ollie, the last one to ride a bike. Growing up in Tucson probably makes you pretty authentic, in my opinion, actually. I feel like that's one big difference between the kind of people that I know that I grew up with versus when I travel to places like LA, just as one example, where a lot of people are from different places but also have had to put on various fronts or masks or disguises. Whereas I think Tucson is a real place where it's hard to be a poser. It's hard to fake your way through it. And most people are from here and know who you are. And it's not the kind of place that you can just be a flipper, so to speak. Got into toys, early on with Star Wars and Masters of the Universe and Thundercats and stuff like that. And toys were a big part of my life, actually. It sounds silly, but that was, sort of like, what gaming could be to a kid now, a big, big part of their life, So every Friday, instead of getting an allowance, I just wanted to go toy shopping. He's heating up, Tony! Well, yeah. I guess the way I found out about the word vintage was through eBay. Selling sneakers, selling toys, also collecting though. So I would get a pair of sneakers and I was looking for a cool hat or a cool shirt to go with it. And so I would say Air Jordan shirt, right? Bo Jackson shirt or stuff that was matching the shoes. Nike was retroing all the stuff from the 80s when I was a kid. So I'm like, okay, what am I going to wear with this? Especially like early 2000s, it was all about like oversized, very matchy, like sort of Soldier Boy, So I had the hats and the shoes and I needed shirts a lot. So I'd go on eBay and I'm noticing and people saying vintage Jordan shirt. I'm like, vintage? Shit was like 12 years ago, you know what I mean? In my head, like that shit was just not that long ago for me. We're talking about vintage, right? I thought vintage was like an old hot rod or, an antique furniture, So once I realized that vintage was clothes of 20 years old or more or whatever, however you want to classify it. I think eBay was classifying it as 20 years older. I learned a bunch of key words on eBay. That was how I really started realizing that that having a job was kind of some bullshit, compared to like doing something that I actually thought was kind of fun and that was actually quite lucrative even way back then.
One of the hardest things to deal with while working at Generation Cool would have to be like the disrespect people throw at us for the pricing, what types of items we have, and just generally not understanding vintage. Rob is like a sick boss because he always cares about my interests. He always checks in on me, makes sure I'm doing good in my personal life. It's not always about business with him, which I really appreciate because working at minimum wage jobs, like people think you're just like an NPC, like you're just a little bot, like, you know what I mean? So he treats me as a person. I love it.